Rafael, I'm super excited. GX2, the launch of a new paddle. It kind of has a different look compared to the typical Gearbox paddles.
Something a little more classic, right?
That's right. But maybe you could tell us what inspired GX2.
Well, since the beginning, we came into the space with a molded paddle. Gearbox was the first company to introduce a brand new core. Back then it was SST. We also introduced a fully molded paddle with a molded handle. I think the technology was perhaps a little early for where the sport was. We've been pushing, and we've seen the industry change more to molded paddles. And at this point, we decided and had this aha moment of, gosh, let's just put SST in a more traditional build, meaning let's give the people what they want. They want an edge guard, let's join them. Let's take this in two different paths. Let's go with the molded, and then let's go ahead and bring in the edge guard, but put in SST. But now what we're doing is we're calling it SST 2.0.
Now, solid span technology, SST, it's a carbon core.
Yeah, absolutely. So 2.0, what it really consists of is now understanding the pickleball behavior and how the game has changed just even from 3 years ago. Players are more aggressive. I mean, they're hitting the serves much harder. The serve is now an offensive shot. They're trying to ace people. And then, they're driving their thirds, their fifths, even sevenths, attacking whenever they can. The highest level, they still do a lot of dinking, but at the recreational level and even competitive tournament level, certainly more aggressive than ever before. So that's actually changed the stress that it's putting into paddles or onto the structures themselves. And so we've made adjustments. So 2.0 addresses those changes. It reinforces the center of the core where most of the impacts occur. I would say 80 to 85% occur there. Miss hits off center, near the top. Those don't occur that often, but they don't impart as much force as you do when you hit the sweet spot or near the sweet spot. So we've learned that. We've reinforced those areas. But we just didn't reinforce it with a lot of material to make it stronger that way. You have to do it in a smart manner. And so SST 2.0 is really referring to that reconfiguration of the modulus of the material, the amount of material, and in addition, the EVA foams or expanding foams that we use, we also reconfigured those. How much pressure do we want? How much density do we want to control within that filler material? Because that's going to also play into how that paddle feels, how the ball feels on impact with, and then that residual vibration that's left over after the ball leaves the paddle. So all of those things translate into your hand, into your ear visually, and those things we're trying to really put together. I'm sure we will see some people not understand perhaps, like, wow, like that feels really plush, but traditionally plush means no power. But now this is plush, but the ball is really moving fast. And I can attack it, I can feel it. So there's going to be some confusion and understanding of this new technology because we're experiencing something that has never really been built. So that is essentially what the core of SST 2.0 is all about.
It sounds technical. So like for me, when we talk about energy return and carbon being such a superior product, when we talk about energy return and like let's say this is the paddle face,
sure,
and the ball hits the paddle, it's receptive to the ball and then it rebounds back quickly to its normal state, right?
Yes.
And I feel like the carbon, maybe like when you're talking about, some people won't understand, like, whoa, like it's plush, it feels good, but then they feel that the dwell time for just a quick split second, like there's a connection with the ball and the paddle, and then boom, it's just rebounding way faster. That, I've played with some honeycomb polypropylene paddles and it never feels like that to me.
Correct.
So the GX2, me personally playing it, that was one thing that I noticed that was totally different than all the other Gearbox paddles.
Yeah, so there's so many variants that we can play with carbon fiber. And with Gearbox having the only core, patented core, with carbon fiber material inside the core, where there's other foam-filled paddles, and that's very different from actually having carbon fiber ribs and structures inside the core, where we can go down to a more minute level to control that resiliency, flex, the things that we're looking for to benefit the players.
I love that you're actually describing the core now, carbon rib core. So you're actually talking about the way the structure's laid out inside. Can you speak to, are those carbon ribs helping get any kind of extra spin or like
absolutely
bite, or talk about that?
They work in two ways. One is the resiliency itself, right? We can allow the carbon fiber or the rib or the entire structure to kind of and not flex in where it caves in or it crumbles, but rather it moves together. The whole at impact, we allow the ball to sink in to the structure, and then we can hold it there for X number of milliseconds, right? And then it releases the energy, it returns, and then it pushes the ball out. And we use the carbon structure itself to allow us to propel the ball. So by holding the ball longer, we can allow the player to swing through the path a little bit longer, and then upon exiting, they can roll the ball more. So that's one way to create spin. Another great way that our carbon fiber SST 2.0 grabs the ball is the force in between each rib bites the ball, right? So you'll see the rib cores will develop almost like line structures on the face, and that is because they're pressure points that are biting the ball.
One thing I loved about GX2, not just dwell time and the plush feeling, is the spin. Is there something new on the paddle face? Like, what's giving it more spin compared to some of the other paddles in the Gearbox lineup?
We're introducing 3K with the PO-ply or textured surface, which is new and unique to Gearbox right now. We were able to texture 3K. It hasn't been done in the past because there's a lot of issues with the way the fibers behave when you go and press it and texture it. We found a way to do it consistently, in a production setting, which is awesome because that adds to the vibration, feel, and feedback of the paddle. 3K, because it's intertwined and woven, breaks up the frequency. Like you have fibers going 90, and actually we layered ours at 45 degrees. So it has a 45 degrees will have more flex, back and forth bending, but it'll be more torsionally stiff. So that's a benefit here. So we introduced that in the GX2. However, it does have that additional benefit that when you have these angles, they're perpendicular to one another and woven, when you have a force or vibration going through the structure, it doesn't just run through the fiber because it has to go over and under, and then you have pressure from another. It breaks up that vibration. So 3K is really good for that. And then we've textured it, so that adds to the spin as well. So really cool, unique feature that we're bringing into the GX2 line as well with that 3K.
Can you talk a little bit about the GX2 and how quick its break-in time? Because for me personally, it feels like it broke in pretty quick.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to experience a break-in time. Then all of a sudden it's like, oh boy, now I feel it. It kind of loosened up and it's, the ball is jumping off. This is going to be a very linear thing. It's going to probably speed up just a little bit, and then it's going to stay there for a long time.
Maybe you could talk about the shapes of the paddles that you're introducing and what's best for each player and why.
In the GX2 line, we've created 3 shapes. Our very first shape is the GX2 Elongated. This has been our best-selling shape because the elongated shape, you get that extra reach. You get a larger impact or area for impacting the ball. You still have plenty of room to get 2 hands on the paddle. This particular type of shape, because you have more volume, more material, it gives you good stability. But people who particularly like this shape are looking for driving the ball from the baseline. They get that reach into the kitchen, and they get the benefits of a larger hitting surface. So the benefit of the Integra XL is that you get that additional reach. We remove some of the material that's down. We shorten the face a little bit, most of the impacts occur around the sweet spot. So we're able to give you the reach, but we gain a little more maneuverability. So the twist weight still remains about the same as the elongated, but by gaining that maneuverability, now you have the benefit from the backcourt and a little faster hands in around the kitchen, right? So, or the non-volley zone. You have the reach, you can roll the ball. This one will move from left to right faster than the elongated, so you get those benefits from this particular paddle. And lastly, we are introducing our what we call our hyper shape, and this is a wider body paddle, a little shorter, but the benefit of this is that you have fast hands, right? We redistribute the area and we give you the fast hands, more stability, so we go wider. So if you're resetting, you like to reset, your game is more focused at the kitchen where you're more defensive, not as aggressive. This paddle can be for you.
If you were to do some sort of compression test with carbon fiber cores as opposed to like a honeycomb polypropylene, even the foam paddles that are out there right now, what would you say the strength ratio is from carbon to those two?
We know it's 4 times stronger than a polypropylene paddle, where with the same load and rate and deflection distance that we're looking for, the carbon fiber resists 4 times the amount of force.
Did you do that same kind of deflection test with some of the new foam paddles? What's the strength?
I have.
What's that?
The foam is very rigid on these new foam, EPS foams, closed cell foam. It's rigid, but it also compresses. There's that resistance, and carbon fiber is about a little more than 2 times stronger than that.
But what about what's going on with all the industry standards with excessive power? Maybe you talked about that.
The sport wants to regulate the speed, that where pickleball, they feel it's, they want to maintain it to preserve the integrity of the game, and I respect that. We as a brand respect that. And so the GX2 was an answer. PB Core is a new introduction, by the USAP, and then also, on the pro side only, it's the UPAA. They want to be able to control what that PB Core, which is a ratio of the inbound and outbound speed. So we created this to stay well within the PB Core test, provide you plenty of power, plenty of control, and the ability for you to reset, go ahead and take that shot that you want. So we adjusted our core and our paddle for today's game and for the new standards, and we're abiding to, and we want to respect that the industry wants to slow the game down.
So GX2 paddles legit in my book. I'm loving the feel, definitely feeling different than a lot of the other paddles in the Gearbox lineup. With that being said, I know you as an engineer, I know you got more stuff coming. SST 2.0, the way you're manipulating its core, this is exciting.
No, it's exciting. It's awesome technology. I think it's going to really lend itself to open our brand, Gearbox, to possibly the largest segment of the consumer base or pickleball player that is out there to really experience what SST is all about. And we're trying to change people from the traditional to molded paddle. Again, we're going to do it in tandem now. We're going to have molded, and we're going to have this traditional with the edge guard look with the new SST cores. And for all of the folks that are out there, really encourage them to try this. For value, for meeting new PB Core standards, for durability, performance, and we all want to win. And this is a tool that we've created to get more folks to win.